Welcome to the Deeper Into Movies podcast. My name is Stephen T. Hanley. I'm the founder and lead curator of Deeper Into Movies. We are a pop-up cinema based in London and New York. Today on the podcast, I am joined by visionary director Andrew Dominik. I was so excited to talk to Andrew. I truly believe he's a visionary filmmaker. I think he deserves more fucking respect. But I think that's coming with Blonde, his Marilyn Monroe biopic. We talk about that. We talk about his first film, Chopper, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary and has a re-release. He made the incredible The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. Masterpiece, all caps, beautiful film, slept on, shut the fuck up, it's not slow. Just fall into its dream spell. It's like a beautiful ambient western. And I got to talk to him about the train sequence. If you know the film, the train sequence. I also spoke to him about his new documentary, This Much I Know to Be True. This is his second portrait of Nick Cave. And just to fill you in, we start off talking about it. So let me give you some context. There's the opening of the film. Nick makes a joke that he's become a ceramicist and he's ditched music and he's just into sculpting and pottery and whatnot. And then they go into a studio and he pulls out these 18 fucking figures of the devil that he's made, taking the devil through his life stage by stage. Like, the devil's a child, the devil is a young man, the devil married. And it's so fucking chilling and intense. It's just incredible. It's like a fucking horror movie in 10 sculptures, in 10 bits of porcelain. So that's what we're talking about. It's worth going to see the movie just for that alone. Andrew is very intense, as you will feel, but it's a great conversation. Real privilege to talk to a true visionary filmmaker. This is me and Andrew Dominik. Thank you for taking the time to talk.
No worries. Where are you?
I'm in London.
Oh.
You California?
Sunny California, my friend.
Nice. I just watched This Much I Know to Be True.
Oh, really?
I got sent a screener. I thought it was so great.
Oh, good. Good. I'm glad you liked it. Did it move you?
Absolutely. I was just going to say that I think as Nick gets older, he's got a richer voice, I think, and there's a real vulnerability coming through in those recent records that I think is so beautiful, especially the opening, is it Spinning Song?
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, when he closes his eyes singing I Love You over and over, it's truly beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
And what an opening with those 18 figurines, the story of a devil.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
I think it's a testament to Nick's storytelling. It just gets heavier and deeper with every figure.
Yeah, totally. It was amazing. I mean, I just walked into his house and he showed it to me. Got off the plane and walked in the door and he showed me he basically did what he does in the movie. And I was like, oh, okay, that's going to be in the film. What
made you come back to do another documentary portrait of Nick?
Just he asked me to.
Okay.
You know, I mean, these films are not really, career decisions. Do you know what I mean? Or anything like that. It's basically my friend's son died and he asked me to help, and it was incredibly liberating to make a movie where the movie's not that important, and in fact, you don't even know what you're doing. You're just sort of shooting stuff and you're going to sort it out later kind of thing. Extremely liberating because you usually take your film very seriously, and just sort of not helps the film. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah.
They're more like acts of friendship than acts of movie making, right?
Yeah, I think that's the great thing with true documentary filmmaking is just you get what you get, or you capture what you capture. And yeah, they just seem like beautiful portraits more than, a typical rock doc per se.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's about what's going on with him
at that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a funny situation. I'm a film programmer also, and we invited Warren over to screen his Dirty Free documentary. I don't know if you've seen that.
You know what? I've got it here, but I don't have a multi-zone player to play it on. I really would love to see it because I love the Dirty Three.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. It's a great documentary. They did a really good job. But we met Warren just at the hotel.
Yeah.
And he pulled me aside and said, "Is the doc any good?" And I was like, have you not seen it? And he's like, "Oh, I just didn't bother to watch it."
No, he hadn't seen it.
But, and then he introduced it, and I said to him, he was just leaving the stage, and I said, "Warren, we've got a front row couch right there. Old Cave's there and a few friends." And he just shouted, "No, if it's shit, I want to leave."
Yeah.
And so he just went right to the back where we had these, it was completely sold out. So we laid out just a bunch of stools at the back, but did warn you, like,
yeah,
you're going to have to sit on a rickety bar stool if you want to come in, but the choice is yours.
Yeah.
And so Warren just watched the whole film from a really rickety bar stool at the back of the screening, but he did like it. He was moved to see. Well, I suppose it's pretty intense.
Yeah, no, I think he's told me that story, I think.
Great.
About it, yeah.
Let's hop back to Chopper.
Chopper.
What were you doing before Chopper? The only thing I could find listed was a Crowded House music video. So I was just wondering.
Yeah, I did music videos and I did commercials. That's what I did. I mean, film school, I made a couple of films, short films that sort of showed my potential, I guess. You know what I mean? People were making a living making music videos, so I decided I'd try and do that, and I did that for a while. And then eventually you try to get into commercials because they pay you more money. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then really what you want to do is you want to make a film. So,
what drew you to the project? I know you adapted the screenplay yourself.
The book.
Yeah.
It was the book. It was the book. It seemed like something that could get made. It was like a mass market paperback that was around at the time, and a bunch of people read it. It was really funny. The book was hilarious. And it just seemed like, okay, it was a bunch of sort of shaggy dog stories from the, what it actually found out later was they're all really famous stories from the criminal underworld that Mark had sort of appropriated and put himself in the middle of,
Right.
I mean, some of it's obviously his life. I mean, a lot of it is, but there's also it's still a good story.
And how was it meeting him? Did you feel safe around him?
Well, I didn't meet Mark for years, mate. I mean,
right.
I tried to meet him immediately, and I think it was because he was in maximum security. And I think there's something from his point of view that was a bit humiliating about being in that situation, and talking to squareheads, I mean, I tried to get him to sort of collaborate with me, but his attitude was one of like, he said to me, I'm not interested in how I see myself. I want to know how somebody else sees me. That's what he said.
Interesting.
So I took him at his word, and I started actually researching his life, which was very different to his books. There was a period of his life that had been documented by the Internal Services Unit of the Australian Police because he'd accused two policemen of police corruption, of like providing him with the umbrella arrangement, right? So as a result of this, they did a massive investigation on this 6-month period where Mark was out of jail, and it was the Sammy the Turk period where he shoots the guy outside the nightclub. And a stack of pages was as tall as I was. Some guy had it in his garage, and it just described everything he did every day, and it would have, they spoke to everyone who was there. You get a lot of conflicting accounts. And his behavior was just insane, shooting a guy, taking him to the hospital. There was all this shit that he was doing that didn't seem to make sense. And I realized that if I wanted to make this movie, I had to make emotional sense of what he was doing. And the story became the film became a lot more interesting once I did that. And I guess from his books, you just had the sort of the verbal fireworks, you know. So when I met Mark, which would have been after I'd been on the thing for at least 5 years, 5 or 6 years, something. But that was when it actually really took shape, because it was something about sitting in the room with the guy, seeing how emotional he was. You know, Mark had big feelings, you know. Mm-hmm. And when he was in the group of them, you know, he was in the group of them. I mean, I met him in jail, right? So, yeah. You know, there's no danger. And Mark, you know, the people that Mark hurt it was like natural causes, mate. You know what I mean? Like, it's natural to the line of work they were in. Mm-hmm. He doesn't hurt squareheads. You know, he doesn't hurt civilians, pedestrians, which is what I was. You know, I mean, I was just some cafe latte, you know, wanker guy, you know, from like middle class squareheadness, you know. But there was something about him that was scary, definitely. I mean, I've met a lot of killers, a lot. I've met 3 or 4 killers in my life, you know. Mark is the most impetuous and impulsive of them, and the most emotional. And he was scary from that point of view. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the others were, you know, Billy Longley was a businessman. He killed people for reasons, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, I've got a friend who's a Navy SEAL who's killed 100 people, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, it's not criminal murder, right? But it's still killing people, you know.
And how was it putting that into the script? Because he's got that really strange balance of menace and comedy, and really, as you said, really strange reactions or responses after an act of violence.
Well, that's Mark, and that's what he's like. So it was pretty natural to put it in. It was what was exciting about it. Like, I remember seeing it for the first time with an audience, and that stabs Keith George in the face and then apologises to him, tries to give him a cigarette. You could really feel the bottom drop out of the room, you know, in the theatre. It was like the audience didn't know what they were looking at that point. And I thought, okay, this really works, you know. Like, they were destabilised.
And how was it casting Eric? Didn't Mark suggest Eric originally?
He did, yes, he did. It was a relief to find Eric. I mean, he must have been looking for somebody for like years by that point. It was a couple of years. You know, there were actors who were good, but they weren't Mark. Or there were actors who weren't funny, you know. Or, you know, it was just really hard to find the right person. And Eric's exactly like Mark.
Yeah.
You know. Now Mark saw him on TV and was just like, get that guy. And I just thought he was joking. Like, but the producer got the casting agent to get him to come in, Eric, and he had something. He was a bit big, you know what I mean? But he was still, and he did something that none of the other people did. You know, like, obviously he looked at Mark and he sort of studied him, and what he was doing was great. It's just a little bit like comedy, you know. And you know, I went down and spent a day with him because he hadn't done much in the way of acting. He's done a lot of, you know. He impersonated people. That was his shtick, you know. And, you know, by the end of the day, it was obvious that this was the guy. But it wasn't going to be easy to sell him because he was sort of unknown, you know, or it didn't sound like a good idea.
Because he was he a TV comedy actor at the time, or was he doing stand-up as well?
He was in a sketch comedy show.
Right.
He was a stand-up. Originally, he was stand-up, I think, and he was in a sketch comedy show, sort of like Australia's version of Saturday Night Live.
Right. Wow, what a knockout performance.
Yeah.
And how did you come to get the look of the film? I love that the first 30 minutes of the prison sequence, you've got that almost acid green type of texture to the film.
Yeah. I mean, H Division was actually really calm. You know, it was like the polar bear cage in the zoo.
Right.
And there's these weird skylights, and you get this weird sort of underwater light in there, and like a submarine or something, like cross between a submarine and the polar bear cage, you know. And I remember walking in there and seeing it, going, "Fuck, this is what it looks like." I was really disappointed, but you know, like then going with it because he felt safe in jail. You know, obviously, jail was home. And then the outside world was just, the idea was to make it just garish and overwhelming and too colourful and all that sort of stuff. And then, you know, we looked at it. It was a little bit candy. So we gave it a bleach bypass at the Interpos or the Internet or something like that. And that just sort of tied it all together.
And how was it? You guys took a break during the film, didn't you? Was that for Eric to pile on some weight?
Yeah, so Eric could put on weight.
How was that for you as a first-time director with...
Fucking great, mate. Love to take a break. Love to take a break every 4 weeks.
Did it feel like you were coming back to 2 movies, or did you kind of, was your head still in the same zone?
No, I mean, I cut a few things in the break, you know.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of production problems to deal with in the break. I mean, it wasn't a break. It wasn't a break like, it was a break for Eric, you know. He could just go and eat donuts and drink beer, but, you know, it's never a break for the director. I mean, 4 weeks out. In fact, maybe it's even worse. You know, the last 2 weeks of pre-production are the most insane of your life, you know, like when you're about to go into, and you can't wait to start shooting so you can go to sleep again.
Right.
Because they'll let you sleep when you shoot, but like the last 2 weeks of fucking hell, dude. No sleep, you know, not at all. It's crazy. So, you know, I think I had a few days, and then it was just back to work.
How did you feel making your first film? What was your biggest challenge you came across?
Well, it was scary, you know, because you're failing 90% of the time. You only need to succeed 10% of the time, you know, but you don't know that. Biggest challenge. I mean, it was just sort of holding the line, you know, like the first week I shot best and worst stuff. Some of the best and worst stuff that I did, like half of what I did looked like a carry-on movie, and the other half was like, I don't know, some Melville-looking film, you know? It was great. And it was really emotional, it was really intense, and I realised at that point that I just had to hold out, just not stop shooting until it was good, and stop trying to be a responsible director. Just, you know, get everything done on time and efficiently. I mean, you do. It is the job, and you always make your day. But it was just a different attitude of like holding out. You know?
Yeah.
And if something was bad, I'd change it. You know, because there's a certain momentum that happens on a film. You realise that you block something after you've been shooting for 2 hours, you know, and then you undo the blocking and start all over again. People get very nervous, you know, about that sort of thing. But I just started doing it, you know. I mean, I'm a very different director now than I was back then.
Have you got a big lesson you learned from your first film that you took on to your next film, which was absolutely huge?
I don't know that you actually can always, what works on one film works on another,
right?
You know, but I don't have some standard methodology. I'm always trying to do something new or, you know, develop it a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the Nick Cave films taught me a lot of just like, I mean, the idea of just turning up and winging a movie, you know, you got to shoot a movie in 10 days and you don't know what it's about. You know, at some point you're going to have to deal with Arthur being dead, you know, and how you're going to get to it, you know. But you've got no time to think. You just got to do it on instinct. And what I was amazed by was how it worked, how good my instincts were. And now what I do is I push the crew a lot. so that they don't have time to think about what they're doing. It's amazing how the focus pull is often better if you just throw them in, like don't give them any rehearsal. Their instincts come kicking in. So I sort of believe in that. I believe in a bit of difficulty.
And how was it going into Jesse James? That's such a huge, epic movie for a second film.
It was terrifying again,
Yeah.
until it gets exhausting. That's what all movies are the same. They're just kind of like scary, and then you get tired. But having said that, I've lost a lot of the fear that I used to have. I sort of started to realize that, what you're doing with the film is you're always trying to make it live. You're trying to make it live. You're trying to believe what you're looking at. You're trying to create something. Something has to happen for you to photograph it. And so you just got to make something happen. And I've got a bunch of tricks about how to do that. Or, I don't know. You're either embalming a movie or it's coming to life.
Oh, that's a great line. Yeah.
And when you're embalming, it's like, fucking hell, mate, it's the worst. And you've got to stop embalming and you've got to bring it back to life somehow.
I rewatched The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. And you probably spoke about this before, but Jesus Christ, man, that train sequence is so spectacular. I know Roger Deakins says it's one of the best things he's ever shot. Can you talk about that? How long did it take to put together? It's just absolutely a stunning piece of filmmaking. That entire section is just wow.
I think we shot it over 4 or 5 days. Probably 5 days. I think there was 6 and we had to cut a day off it. And probably 2 days outside and 2 days inside on the last day. But that one was all worked out.
And how about Blonde? I'm so excited for your new movie.
Me too. It's the movie I've most wanted to make.
Oh, really? Has this been a passion project in the wings?
Oh my God. I've been trying to make it since 2008.
And what is it about her story that has kept you obsessing over it?
It's a movie for all the unloved children of the world.
That's your tagline right there.
It's like Citizen Kane and Raging Bull had a baby daughter.
And finally, what's next? Have you got anything else in the works?
Oh, mate, I'm laying on the couch as I'm talking to you here.
Yeah.
I've just spent the last 2 years in the cutting room. I've got 2 movies coming out this year. And Chopper's getting re-released, right? A little bit in England. It got re-released a little bit in Australia. Isn't that enough of an output for the minute?
Oh, yeah, no, that's a well-deserved break. I'm just a huge fan of your work, so I'm always like, give me more.
Yeah, no. I mean, listen, I've got something I'd like to do. It's a bit of a tricky right situation.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do a war movie.
What war do you want to set it in?
Afghanistan. But, Blonde is good because it's different to the other movies. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the same in a way, in that we're seeing the world, through her eyes. We're seeing the world through the lens of her childhood drama.
Yeah.
But it's about a girl. There's no guns in it.
And finally, what were the movies that got you wanting to make movies? Can you pick out something that was the light bulb moment for you?
Yeah, I mean, the first movie I ever saw was The Wizard of Oz, the flying monkeys. And I mean, I wanted to be a filmmaker from pretty young. And I think what I really liked was like Planet of the Apes movies and stuff like that,
Yeah.
And then I sort of found Polanski and Ingmar Bergman when I was in my 14, 13, somewhere around there, Kurosawa, and I started to see, okay, there's better movies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember seeing Raging Bull when I was 20 years old, and just being like, oh my fucking God, I didn't realize movies could be that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like as good as that movie. But by then I was already a filmmaker. I was already at film school. All just the standard ones.
Yeah.
Standard good movies. Yeah. I mean, I've got my sort of bastard favorites. I love Marnie. I love Night of the Hunter, of the old Hollywood. I love Hitchcock. I love women's pictures from the 40s.
Yeah, Criterion Channel just added a big batch of Hitchcock, so I've been going through those. I forgot how dark Rope was. Rope is crazily evil.
Yeah, they have Marnie.
Yeah, that's on my to-do list. Yesterday I redid Rear Window, which I still think is my favorite because it's just a movie about watching movies. So
Marnie, mate, and Vertigo.
Okay, I'll do that tomorrow night.
Well, it's his personal obsession, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what it's about, right? She's a frigid kleptomaniac, right? And he is going to cure her so that she will love him, right? And it's starring Hitchcock's dream girl, Tippi Hedren, who is desperate to fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And everyone hated the film. It's so full of feeling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the film was a complete disaster. But it's fantastic. And Sean Connery is fantastic in it. Like, so good. So charming. Mate, I envy you. You can watch Marnie for the first time.
Yeah, you've sold it to me. That sounds incredible. I don't know how I've managed to miss that one. I've just been doing all the...
Well, it's not well thought of.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not well thought of. And, Hitchcock gets pretty interesting once he gets into, Freud.
Yes.
His first foray into it, the one with the Dali dream sequence is not very good, right? But once it starts coming in a plot sense, do you know what I mean? Like once he's sort of taken the Freudian dynamics and turning them into movie plots like Vertigo and Marnie and stuff like that. I mean, Vertigo's amazing, dude.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
I'm gonna turn you into my fantasy. I mean, fuck, what a movie!
And I did the one. What's the one where the guy comes to town? When the killer comes to town?
Oh yeah. I know what you mean. Shadow of a Doubt.
Yes. Yeah.
Justin Cotton.
Yeah. Fantastic.
People are filthy pigs, and it's pretty good.
Cool. I'm gonna let you go. I really appreciate you taking the time.
No worries, mate.
I'm a huge fan of your movies. Good luck with Blonde and make the war movie.
Take it easy.
Boom. Me and Andrew Dominik. That guy's a fucking character. Everyone go watch Marnie now. That's it from me. Thank you to my podcast engineer, Ewan Henselwood, Joshua Eustace, aka Telephone Tel Aviv, for the beautiful music. You guys for listening. I'll speak to you soon.